their modus operandi, which include enticing candidates to part with money by posting several fake versions of questions, including past questions on social media, posting of actual questions on paid or for groups after receipt and opening of question paper packets at the center, solving of questions and posting of solutions on WhatsApp groups. With the passing of the Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1036, the prosecution of operatives of these fraudulent groups will be facilitated. We will want to urge parents, religious leaders, and well-meaning people in society to join us in advising our wards to stay away from these WhatsApp, Telegram groups and focus on their books.
We'll stay a while longer with the examinations because in order to strengthen the credibility of the West Africa Examinations Council, WAEC, the Ministry of Education and WAEC are partnering to serialize examination question papers and set multiple versions of the same questions to make it extremely difficult for candidates to cheat at the examination centers. This was disclosed by the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, when he visited some selected senior high schools in the Greater Accra region where the examinations are being written. A report by Ofuriwa Dakum.
Last year, WAEC conducted WASI concurrently in Anglophone West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, the Gambia and Liberia, but later announced on March 20, 2020 that it has suspended the annual examination indefinitely due to COVID-19. Upon further discussions with Ghana, final year students were allowed to return to school and it was agreed that the exams would be held independently. This year, Ghana is rejoining its counterparts to write the examinations. This prompted the Education Minister's tour of some centers in the capital. According to the Sector Minister, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, government is capitalizing on collaborations with stakeholders in both the public and private sectors to eradicate examination malpractices. He also touched on how fraudsters swindle unsuspecting students and parents over fake papers.
It's within our authority to ensure that we stamp out exam malpractice, whether perceived or real. And that is what we have begun discussion with WAEC about. We are even talking about serialization, which means there can be about 5 to 10 versions of the same test. So if somebody creates a rogue website and say this question has leaked, there are about 10 versions. How do you know that question is even going to be in your school? Or even if it comes to your school, how do you even know that that will be the question that you're going to be answering?
Some of the centers the team visited were the Frafraha Community Senior High School SHS, West African SHS, and the Kwabenya SHS. At the Frafraha Community SHS, the minister interacted with some candidates before they started their English examination. He urged the candidates to remain focused and be disciplined as they continued to write the examination, so they do not have any challenge with the laws of the land.
They are halfway through the exams. I expect them to follow directions and do all the right things. Stay away from trouble. You don't go into a test and put yourself in a situation where you are going to get into trouble. So as we have exhorted, we have encouraged, we want them to focus on the exams and stay away from anything that will distract.
In a related development, the two Deputy Ministers of Education, Reverend John Intim-Fojo and Mrs. Gift Chumampofo, also visited some selected examination centers in the Eastern region. For GBC News, Ofuriwa Dakum.
President Akufo-Addo has launched 4 integrated aluminium industry projects in Accra. At a ceremony, the government approved the selection of Rockshore International, a wholly Ghanaian mining company, as a strategic partner for the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation. The firm will support the development of the $6 billion Nyinehini Impasaso mine, which which constitutes Project 2 of the 4 projects of the integrated aluminium industry in Ghana.
It is to firm up on developing an integrated aluminium industry in Ghana for the country to become an aluminium hub that the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Industry Corporation, GIADEC, has outlined 4 key projects. Project 1 will see the expansion of an existing mine at Awaso and the building of a refinery. Project 2 will ensure the development of one of the 2 new mines to be built in the Nyinenyini Impraiso area. Project 3 is to establish a mine in Chibi and a second mine in the Nyinenyini Impraiso area, whilst Project 4 will modernize and increase vehicles production capacity. The Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation GIADEC, in collaboration with its partners, will ensure that the new mines feed a planned local refinery to be built in the country.
The projects ensure the full utilization of the bauxite reserves that we have across 3 key locations. These projects uniquely underline our overriding goal of value addition, which is at the core of what GIADEC is all about.
The Minister for Land and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapo, said selecting Rockshore International, a wholly owned Ghanaian company, to partner GIADEC to prosecute Project 2 was under a competitive tender.
Without a doubt, we cannot bring the much-needed development our people deserve without industrialization. And certainly, we cannot industrialize without developing an integrated aluminum industry. Needless to point out that the establishment of automobile assembly plants by Volkswagen, Toyota, Nissan, Sinotruk, and other manufacturers that rely on aluminum for their production makes this integrated industry even more imperative.
President Akufo-Addo said all the necessary infrastructure had to be in place to ensure the development of the bauxite industry is done by government. He said government has resolved to make the industry globally competitive.
The choice of a Ghanaian company in a highly competitive process is very pleasing at a time when we're looking for homegrown companies that can compete with the best across the world. I am certain that Rockshore International, with their demonstrable experience and track record of excellent delivery, will be a credible partner to GIADEC.
President Akufo-Addo welcomed prospective investors in the mining sector, assuring them of government readiness to work with firms that will respect the country's laws.
We're open to doing business with entities that will be respectful of our laws and want to trade with us as equals. While we celebrate this milestone today, a great deal remains to be done to realize the establishment of the integrated aluminum industry. And I'll urge the board and management of GIADEC to execute their plans as defined with urgency.
It is anticipated that mining operations after preliminary works and studies will begin in 24 months, whilst the development of a refinery solution starts in tandem, and the construction timeline estimated at 4 years. GIADEC was established through an Act of Parliament in August of 2018 to develop and promote a globally competitive integrated aluminium industry in Ghana.
Congratulations.
President Akufo-Addo has assured that all mining activities, specifically those in the forest areas, will be done responsibly to protect the country's environment. His comments were made in the wake of concerns raised by some groups about mining of bauxite in the Tiwa forest. But the president says the EPA has sponsored work to develop a biodiversity and hydrology study in the Tiwa forest to guide and inform the EPA on how mining activities are carried out in the forest.
A key area of attention in the development of this entire plan has been the focus on environmental issues with respect to the exploitation of our significant mining deposits. We believe that mining can and must be done in a responsible manner. Government, through its regulatory agencies, will act to protect our environment at all times. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has sponsored work to develop a biodiversity and hydrology study for the Tiwa Forest Reserve, which will guide and inform the EPA on how any activities are carried out in the forest. I would reiterate the steps will be taken to ensure that all mining activities are done in a responsible manner in accordance with our regulations.
Ghana will host an extraordinary summit of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government tomorrow, September 16, 2021. 13 heads of state of the sub-regional bloc, excluding Mali and Guinea, will be participating in the Accra summit. At a media briefing in Accra, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ms. Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, said the meeting would consider the report of the delegation that went to Conakry on a fact-finding mission following the military takeover and decide on what to do to return Guinea to constitutional rule. Special forces led by Lieutenant Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya ousted Guinea's President Alpha Condé on September 5, 2021.
Let's not forget that no sanctions. The only sanction that has been placed at the moment on Guinea is the suspension of Guinea from ECOWAS. No other sanction has been slapped on them for now. What the presidents are going to do tomorrow is to consider the report and then decide on what to do. So I'm not saying that sanctions will be applied, but that may happen. The heads of state will, in their wisdom, consider the totality of the situation and then come up with decisions on what they would do concerning Guinea, to put pressure on the coup makers, the military, to return the country quickly back to constitutional rule. Because otherwise, if they're left, it could take forever.
Meanwhile, the foreign minister and leader of the delegation to Guinea, Ms. Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, says consultations are ongoing for the review of the ECOWAS Charter on coup d'etat in West Africa. Briefing the media in Accra, the minister said ECOWAS is looking at putting more stringent measures in place to forestall coups in the sub-region.
Probably what we should be looking at now, in view of what is happening, is to amend the charter so that ECOWAS can have more stringent measures proactively to deal with such situations. So it's something that is being looked at. I am told, I have not verified, that there is something that has been done. It hasn't gotten to the level of the Council of Ministers to go to the heads of state. But in view of all that is happening, I think it's something that maybe we should be looking at to actually forestall some of these situations. But when you do all the engagements that are necessary, whether it's from the heads of state level or from the level of the Council of Ministers, and the person says that this is my country, we are a sovereign country, there's not much that African Union, international community at large, so that these things do not happen. So yes, probably the time has come for us to look at what to do to prevent such situations using very coercive means.
You're watching Newshour live on GBC News. News and Comfort Asiame has granted bail in the sum of 200,000 Ghana cedis with 2 surety for a week after being charged for threats of death. The 5 other suspects related to the issue were also granted bail in 200,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties each. Pastor Utbempa and his accomplices have been charged with 6 counts, including the threats of death. They have all pleaded not guilty to charges for threatening to kill one Patricia Odro Krantin, popularly known as Nana Agrada.
Pastor Isaac Owusu-Bempah and one of his accomplices, Mensa Ofori, were on Monday, September 13, charged with 2 counts of offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace and threat of death. The remaining 3 were also charged with assault on a public officer. One other suspect is at large and is being sought by the police. Defense counsel, led by lawyer Gary Nimakomafo, prayed for the accused persons to be granted bail, but prosecution, led by Chief Inspector Dennis Tekwete, opposed the bail, arguing that the police officers who were physically assaulted were still on admission in the hospital. The Accra